Hey everybody, welcome back to part 2 of this AT3K revisit. So I know the first video was just kind of a bit of a ramble as most of my videos are. So I decided, let's level set and let's do some project goals. So some of the goals for this project are I would like to have a turret that is able to accept PETG without having to do any type of modification to either the turret or to the PETG. That would be awesome. I would like to have the turret to have the ability to be rear loading, if that is going to be a thing, but just with the option of having that. I want it to be able to index correctly without anything too crazy. And I would also like to reuse as many of the parts that are already in the blaster, so you don't have to go out and buy other things. If we are able to reuse parts, that would be awesome. If the turret piece that we can create would be one piece, that would be awesome as well. Or if it's in, two pieces, that would be fine too. But, the hope is to get this to be one piece. And I guess a bonus or something else would be, is there another way to be able to reload this blaster without the rear loading aspect? And what I mean by that is on a regular 3K, you have to cut the shell, you have to kind of put a little bit of a ramp so that you can feed darts into the barrel. Is there a way to be able to reload this from the front or just from the outside so you don't have to cut into the shell? I don't know. I haven't really thought about that yet, but those are the goals for this project. So what's involved with modding a 3K? What are all the steps? Well, first obviously is the turret, which is the biggest part of this. So this is a cut down turret already. Here are the barrels and the air restrictors. I don't know why I saved these, but basically you remove all these from the front. You have this. You then need to cut a hole into the back of the turret that matches the same size as the front here. Once that is done, you then want to take your PETG. You'll need a couple rounds of tape or something to basically seal it into the barrel, because right now it fits in there, but it's a very loose fit and you want to have that be airtight. Another thing people like to do is that because darts flow pretty freely inside the PETG, some people will stick a bit of brass inside the PETG so that it can hold the dart without them falling out. So that is kind of the main part of the turret and the PETG. The other thing you would need to do is to, here on this guy, you want to be able to seal between the tank and the turret, because there is a little bit of a gap in when you put it all together. So you do need some foam or some like a rubber washer to be able to kind of fill that gap. Also the tubing, you have to get rid of the goo gauge. You want to be able to have the pump as close to the air tank as possible. So usually people will just kind of cut this out and then just run a tube directly from the tank into the pump. The pump is also another thing that has to go. A lot of people will use a Hornet pump or I think this is a Mag Strike pump to fit in there. And there is some shell work to be able to cut an opening for the pump handle as well. Along with that, you do have to cut into the shell of the blaster in order to make use of the rear loading holes that you had. And then last but not least, you want something to be able to protect the barrels so they're not just kind of wibbly wobbly all over the place, and you want to be able to put barrel spacers, usually one here at the front to protect it from falls or nicks at the front, and then usually you'll want one here so that you can rotate and index your blasters. So very quick overview of the modification or the steps on the process for creating a modified 3K. So in this revisit, the big question was, where do I start? I decided that the best place to start for me were with the barrel spacers. So these were barrel spacers I believe I purchased from Ryan McNumbers a long time ago, and these would fit around your barrels on your AT3K, which these I had for the longest time. I decided to use these as my template for my designs, or at least the base for my design, and so I decided let's try to match these dimensions in a new spacer, which I printed out here. So just something a little crazy, nothing too special, but I did have to obviously make iterations of this to be able to fit the barrels, to be a tight fit so they wouldn't just fall off, but not too tight that, you know, I couldn't just use them effectively. Once I had this as my base template, I decided to then start printing out this, which is basically just a test piece for the turret itself. And this was just so that I could match up and try to get the correct dimensions, like the sizing here, so you can see this is a little bit too small, but also to be able to get, you know, the barrels or the holes also in the right spot. And like I had said in my goals, you know, wanted to do one piece. The rear loading part was easy to do. I basically modeled this piece up exactly as is, minus some of these teeth in the back here, but with holes, little chamfer in the back, so you're not, you know, you don't have sharp edges. I made the diameter of this a little bit smaller so that it would fit and snug in with Pet G. I also made a little bit of a shelf in here so that there is maybe 10 millimeters or 15 millimeters at the very back that when you push fit in a dart, it will hold it, but then go directly into the barrel, which is a tight fit and an airtight fit. So that was really easy to do and create and design in CAD or Fusion 360. So the biggest question was, how can I get this to index? So this indexes, there is a piece in the back here, right here, which actually does the indexing for the turret as you turn it. And that has some other little bits and bobs in there and does other stuff. But I wanted to put that indexing here into the turret. And I looked at an AT2K, which is two pieces with a spring, and that has an indexing teeth in the middle. So I said, you know, could I build something like that? But was thinking maybe instead of the teeth being in the back here, can I put the teeth up front and basically reverse that design to have a spring up here and the rest, the teeth that turns here, and this would then turn. Ran into some weird issues there, but you know, I'll go into that into a little bit more detail in the next video. This one I just kind of wanted to get out of the way, give you guys a level set, my goals, and don't want to keep these too terribly long. So come back in the next one where we'll kind of go a little bit more in depth about what I'm trying to do here for indexing on the turret. All right, guys, we'll see you later.